Marty Scurll, the Ring of Honor booker and wrestler, has released a statement in the last hour or so after allegations of sexual misconduct were alleged on social media regarding an encounter with an intoxicated female fan in 2015. Now, Marty Scurll has responded to the allegations with a statement on his Twitter account, not specifically denying that the encounter itself took place, but suggesting that the encounter of himself and this young teenage fan was indeed consensual. Now, the full statement can be seen here, and we'll read it out now. It's, as statements go, it's a pretty horrific statement, to be honest, but it says, quote, "I am aware that a young woman has bravely come forward with her account of sexual abuse by some members of the wrestling community in the UK 5 years ago, a community I was part of. Although I truly believe that our encounter that evening was consensual, and the fact that the encounter was legal is almost not the point. I understand that she now views our encounter as part of a bigger problem within the wrestling community. What concerns me at this moment is that from what I have been reading, she is a fan of wrestling and was made to feel unsafe within that community. This is not acceptable. I also understand that people have been attacking her on social media, and I implore you to please stop. She has the right to her voice, and it is our responsibility to listen." End quote. As I mentioned, in terms of statements there, I mean, that is a doozy, isn't it? First of all, if you're not aware of the allegations, again, we won't go into graphic detail here. You'll be able to find them just doing a quick search on social media. But a wrestling fan, a British fan who would have been 16 years old at the time, alleges that she had a sexual encounter with Marty Scurll in 2015 after a wrestling show in which she attended. Her and Marty went back to the hotel. They alleged in some sexual encounter in a broom club, a cupboard, or something of that nature. But she was heavily under the influence at the time and repeatedly was coerced into having intercourse with Marty Scurll or having a sexual encounter with Marty Scurll, and she did not consent to it. Now, first of all, that story itself and the allegations are repulsive. They're disgusting. I feel so sorry for her, and I commend her bravery of speaking out, and she is, regardless of what you think, needs to be treated as a victim, and the bravery she has shown by speaking out on this allegation has to be commended. Just beyond brave and beyond courageous, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, as I mentioned in my speaking out video, which you'll be able to find on the channel, obviously in these cases you have to say innocent till proven guilty. That's just a fact with these sort of things. However, with any sexual assault allegation or misconduct allegation, as I mentioned previously, the amount that go to trial, I believe I mentioned the statistic here previously, is like 1.9% actually lead to conviction. The evidence is usually anecdotal or circumstantial at best, and this is why victims don't come forward, because there is no evidence and they fear they won't be believed. And in a case of someone like Marty Scurll, who is in a position of power currently in Ring of Honor, but even prior to that, when he was a member of the British wrestling community, had a huge influence in getting people booked on shows, etc., etc. People don't want to speak out against him because he's famous, they're not, in the case of this female accuser. People will say about the age situation here. Now, if you're not aware, if you're a viewer from another country that isn't over here in the UK, 16 years of age is the legal age of consent, so there's nothing illegal on that point, but that's beside the point. It doesn't matter about how old she was. What matters is that she was under the influence, she was intoxicated, she was allegedly coerced, and she was allegedly forced to have a sexual encounter with a man several years older than her. That is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. That is disgusting. That is repulsive. I think the thing that disgusts me the most about his statement there is that he isn't even denying that the encounter took place. So he's openly admitting that he had a sexual encounter with a teenage girl, almost using the legal loophole there of, well, the age of consent over here in the UK is 16 years old. To me, that's not good enough. He holds a position of power. At the time of recording, this is currently 11:15 p.m. here in the UK, so that's 6:15 p.m. In the US right now on the East Coast. We haven't had a comment from Ring of Honor. We haven't had any actions from Ring of Honor. I would hope that they take the same course of action that AEW did with Sammy Guevara. I know those are totally different situations, but the Marty Scurll one here is actually way more severe and way more dangerous and damaging, not only to their company, but damaging to the wrestling industry as a whole. I think for the victims and the whole speaking out movement, swift action needs to be taken with this. We've seen the likes of Impact Wrestling and Progress Wrestling over here in the UK sever ties with anyone that's been associated with these allegations. We've seen Impact Wrestling sever ties with the likes of Joey Ryan. He won't be appearing on the Impact Wrestling on Access TV episode tonight, and thankfully so. It's the right decision, because you can't give people that have done these things a platform to succeed. And that statement didn't seem for him to apologise at all. I don't notice in that statement him apologising to the female. He's saying, don't attack the female, it's not her fault. Damn right it's not her fault. It's not her fault that she was allegedly influenced to have a sexual encounter with an older man while she was under the influence of alcohol. It's not right. It's not right. And even if it was technically legal, it doesn't make it morally right. And that's the issue here. And I'm not even sure if it was technically legal anyway, because there says nothing in the legal laws about coercing someone who is under the influence to not give consent to a sexual encounter, regardless of the age there. And then you do have to factor in the age too, saying she was a teenager at the time. She was barely, I mean, technically over here, she's not even considered an adult. She's considered a consenting teenager in that sense. It's not right. It's not right, and Marty Scurll not only needs to release a further statement apologising to the females, apologising to the people that he's hurt, apologising for his actions, but he needs to get out of Ring of Honor. He needs to not be booked on shows, and he needs to get off social media for a period of time, because this kind of behaviour, to me, is unacceptable. And as a British man and a British wrestling fan, it leaves a black eye on British wrestling. That's what all of this has done. And I mentioned this in the Speaking Out video the other day. This problem, this issue, I think goes way further than British wrestling. I think it's a societal problem, and I think it's a problem that's deep-rooted in the wrestling industry, and it's going to get worse before it can get better. But this is the period of time where it can get better. But I think we're going to hear more and more distressing stories. We're going to hear more and more distressing and disturbing allegations. As I mentioned previously, not all of them are going to be true, innocent until proven guilty. But when you use the phrase, there is no smoke without a fire, which is the perfect analogy when it comes to this distressing and disturbing situation that we are finding ourselves in, there is a lot of smoke here. So there is certainly a lot of fire. I'd go as far as to say it's an raging inferno is the problem in British wrestling and professional wrestling as a whole. Once again, my hearts and sympathies go out to the victims. They are beyond courageous and beyond brave to be able to speak up with these allegations after going through these traumatic and horrific experiences. They are the true heroes in this. They are the ones that have sparked the catalyst for change, hopefully for better, in the professional wrestling industry. Because things like this can't go on anymore. If we've learned anything from 2020, it's that when a movement comes up and a movement actually allows and facilitates change for the better, you have to push it and you have to take it and you have to take the change and make the change. And that's exactly what we have to do, because stories like this are ultimately disturbing. And I think the thing that's angered me the most with this Marty Scurll statement is the lack of apology to the victim. The more saying, oh, fans, don't have a go at her, don't mock her online, she calling her brave, but saying, oh no, the encounter was consensual. Not for me. A lot more needs to be done there, and Marty Scurll not only needs to have a long, hard look at himself, but he needs to have a long, hard look at that statement and do a lot better, in my opinion. Now, of course, this is just my opinion. What is your opinion on the Marty Scurll statement, the Marty Scurll allegations? Let me know in the comment section below. If we do get a comment from Ring of Honor or we get action from Ring of Honor, we will do another video. We'll be posting all the updates on our website, WrestleNews365.com, or on our social media channels that are on the screen right now. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you've come across this video today. And I'll speak for you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.